Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So if you watched the last video, you know that this is a 2014 Can-Am Renegade 1000. So obviously I got it used, and one of the concerns I always have before you start using a used machine on a trail and all that, and you're trying to avoid obviously breakdowns, is you don't know what the last guy did to the machine, what's going on with it, what you weren't told when you bought it. So I want to tear it down, get down to the nitty gritty, see if there's any issues down below with leaks, any motor problems, exhaust problems, leaking. I know there's an exhaust leak next to the muffler right now I'm gonna fix, but any issues like that, and then build it back up. And along the way, there's a couple of modifications I'm gonna do, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's start the teardown. Okay guys, so here we go. I have the plastics off. Taking a look at it, going around. It's not looking terrible, but there is this issue in the front where somebody did hit something right here in this area. So, radiator got damaged pretty badly. There is like a little bit of a kink in the A-arm. I'm not sure if that's related or if that's something else. I know these guards that are typically down here, the plastic guards for these boots and stuff, are damaged on both sides as well. And this bar here is bent back, so the lights were kicked back this way. You can see it's against the radiator hose back here. So not so ideal, but I think that's easy enough to fix. I'm hoping. Also, there's like a little, you can see the metal right here is kinked on the support for the suspension. So that should be able to get tapped over, flattened out, and kind of pushed forward all this. And there's the other side of the kink here. So that should be able to get brought forward on this side here. That should be pretty easy. And then I'll kind of have everything all set up the way it should be. I rinsed it off quick just so I could see exactly what was going on here, so that helped a bit as well. I'm gonna take the wheels off in a few minutes, see what's going on with the brakes, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna get the CVT cover off and see what the belt is looking like. Supposedly the belt was changed just recently, so we'll see if that's the real deal. This is actually the wire for the rear brake light on this side here. That is, well, the plug is gone for it. Like this side here, I have the bulb and everything that I took off, but this side here, totally missing. The wire was just sitting here tie wrapped, so that's something I gotta fix there. But all in all, nothing too bad, honestly. Oh, they have this hitch back here, just terrible. I don't know what they were thinking here, so I'm gonna get this off. That'll probably be the next thing that I do, is just get this out of here, because that's just terrible. So that'll get out. Like I said, the parts for the exhaust right here, I'm gonna have Monday, so I'll be able to take care of that and hopefully seal up the leakage that's going on over here. And, oh, let's look at the air filter. So that pulls right out. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Definitely looks like there's been water inside here. And actually, it's pretty nice. I do want to get snorkels on this thing, I think. But it's kind of nice because the intakes are right here, and this is the, I believe this is the transmission exhaust or intake, I'm not sure which, that's up here. So, I mean, these are right here all the way at the top of your machine, right next to your handlebar. So that's actually pretty nice. So the only thing that's really low that kind of sucks is the radiator itself. But with the rad relocation kit, that'll take care of that as well. So I think, what was the other thing that was on here that was messed up? I think that was it, at least for the most part. So I'm gonna get the CVT cover off now. I'm gonna get rid of that terrible hitch and see what else is going on. So my mufflers here. I have the new bracket, but I'm a little annoyed because this is a weird setup. There is no real attachment. There's no gasket. There's no little indentation in the muffler. There's nothing there for this to basically this pipe just butts up against the muffler itself, which I'm not really understanding 100% on why it would be like that. So I have the new bracket that was on here before, like the unbroken part, because the other ones were broken. So I'm gonna put those on, but I'm also gonna kind of make my own gasket with this high temperature silicone basically, and kind of put that on around where this is, and then butt this up against, and then put that bracket up against. And hopefully, once it dries and cures, it'll be okay and I won't have any issues. So we'll see. This back one, actually, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the muffler is indented, is kind of dented in a little bit right there. So there's more of a gap down here than there is on the top and all the way around. This one here is just fine all the way around. It pretty much sits nice and tight, but this one here has just a gap from here to here from a little bit of a dent that's in here. So hopefully the silicone will work, that high temperature silicone, and that's it. Woohoo! So we have the new dashboard right there, the plastics for it, the rear plastic, the front fender, this piece that goes around the handlebars. So we have the engine ice for the antifreeze, works pretty good, keeps the engine a little cooler. So I've used that in my Razor, worked pretty well. We have an oil change kit, some plastic parts and pieces that we need for the rear fender, and also the rear fascia. This is the brake lights, tail lights and stuff go in here, reflector. So those are new since one of the other ones was broken. There are LED brake lights in here that I'm changing to as well. And some new footboards or footrests, whatever you want to call them, on either side, the left and the right, just because those were kind of broken as well. So basically it's just a bunch of plastic with a couple parts and pieces that I needed. But the biggest part, I think for me, is the radiator. So there on the left is the old radiator, all banged up, and I don't know if they used a pressure washer or what they did there, but it's totally ruined. I mean, I don't know how it would work at all very well, but that's the brand new one. I actually bought it on Amazon, and it was way cheaper than an OEM one. So I think it was like less than half the price. So hopefully it works. Hopefully I don't have any issues with it. If I do, I could always buy a second one and still not even spend as much as it would have been for one OEM model. One of the issues that I have is for the fan for this radiator that I just found out. I knew that these were broken up here, the holes to kind of support this, but I had a way that I was gonna work around for that. The bigger issue is right here on the bottom. These are supposed to be two like plastic pegs that come out that then would tie in. That's on the bottom of the fan, so it basically just goes into these holes just to hold the bottom part of the radiator in. And then up here on the top, there's two bolts that tie into the frame that holds your radiator in all 4 points like that. And with this broken down here that I just found, I'm not entirely sure if I want to do, because I mean there's nothing wrong with the fan, it works great, but I'm not sure if I want to figure out a way to maybe use a bolt, at least for the time being, to hold that in there for the, like basically two use them as studs to go through the hole in the bottom of the four-wheeler there to hold it in place, or what exactly I'm going to do yet. So I got to figure that out still. But other than that, I did take off the cover for my clutch and took a look at everything here. The belt is brand new. The previous owner did say he did change the belt, and it is a brand new G-force belt. So that's pretty good. The clutch seems to be in good shape. Doesn't seem to be any issues, which is great. Unlike my brother, he has a couple issues with his clutch that he had to replace I think the primary on it because he was having some issues. Right here, you can see this is I think it's the air intake for the clutch. This little boot kind of thing here is a little dry rotted. So if we're looking to go into mud, so I did buy this piece. I just figured it'd be better to replace that now than to start getting water and mud and sediment and everything else inside the clutch housing, which wouldn't be a good thing. So the one thing I did need for the clutch was a new gasket. The other gasket, I'm not sure what they did, but all I know is they pulled out a whole bunch of black tape from the bottom side of this cover. So I'm gonna get this gasket in and get the cover back on, and we'll go to the next step. So the other thing I got here, before I put this cover on, this is the drain plug that's on this Can-Am for the transmission. You know, if you get water inside of it or something. So you snap that off and you pull this off. But same thing, you can see this is dry rotted. Doesn't look that good. So I bought a new one. Just made it a little bit different. But that's it, and then you just unscrew that, I guess, apparently, to bring it out. Okay. Okay, so I got my cover back on, minus one bolt that I have to put in over here. And the reason why I didn't put this bolt in yet was because when I took the cover off before, this bolt was stuck in there with the nut that's kind of set in the plastic on the backside, and ended up, however it was put in before, the bolt itself was put in like on a little bit of an angle. And what happened was it just got caught up in the threading of that back nut, kind of, basically. So I couldn't really get it out without taking everything out. So now this is just an empty hole back here, which you can see with my finger going behind it. So what I'm gonna do is I found a lock nut here that I could put on, and I'm just gonna have this go through. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take this boot off, because I have to replace it anyway, because this is that dry rot. Take this off, and then I'll put this nut in the back, tighten this up, and then I'll put on a new boot. one of the things that I found on this machine that is a bit of an issue, I think, is my high-low switch for my light. For some reason, it is very difficult to go in between and way not the way it's supposed to be. So I picked up another switch, very cheap, and it's very easily installed, just a plug and play. And I'm just going to switch this out real quick. Okay, so I was able to get the radiator in. I still have the old fan housing behind there, and there were some cracks in the plastic above, so I put on these bigger washers. We'll kind of see how it lasts. There was also an issue on the bottom where the bushings on the bottom of the plastic weren't there anymore, so I put a couple of kind of like studs coming out from the radiator, from the housing, just to kind of hold into this area here for the time being, and just kind of see how it goes before I dump another, I don't know, 300 bucks for a fan housing in the back. I just want to make sure everything is good with the four-wheeler. But that's it for now. So that's in there. And I think right now I'm to the point of where I can start putting on some of the plastics. So I'm going to work on that next.